Hello, at last class. This is Daniel Cardenas, and I'm here to talk about genetically modified food, as to referred as GMO. And I'm here to persuade the audience with evidence showing the presence of GMOs in food products, and it should be more generally accepted. The use of genetically modified organisms, or more specifically genetically modified foods, or GMO, should be more widely accepted given that they already used many food products and are deemed to be safe by the FDA, the Food Drug Administration, so to speak, because it is like chemicals and stuff like that. Are any of you allergic to peanuts here? Um, what if I told you that there's a way for you to enjoy the taste of peanuts, peanut brittle, peanut butter, etc., just like the rest of us? According to this article published by Genetic Literacy Project, food scientist Horton Stoto is working on a hypoallergenic peanut as we speak. This doesn't just mean that the people with peanut butter allergies can now enjoy a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. This project has the potential to save the lives who suffer from severe allergic reactions, according to Ferreira, 2018, June 4th. How is this even possible through the magic and science of genetic engineering? You might ask. I don't recall the first time I heard of GMOs, but when I did, I was very against it. I was like, oh, the modification of any kind of organism, plants, animals, or otherwise should be wrong. But now, coming to an own as a biology major, that I was wanting to be a biology major before my criminal justice swap. I learned that about the technology and the methods by which genetically altered foods are produced. Now knowing that what I know and how process works, and seeing several YouTube videos and documentaries, I realized that GMOs aren't quite as scary as I thought and support their production. If you're wondering why this affects you, and it may surprise you to know that around 75% of all processed foods, which is for most of you like 90% of your market, have contain and use GMO ingredients, according to Britannica, 2020, December 4th. In preview of main points transition, so what exactly are GMOs? Should we support their production? Should we be against it? And why is it important? I'll be answering those questions in just a sec. Starting with, what are genetically modified organisms? What are GMOs and how are they used? I'm about to explain in just a second. The best way to think about GMOs is to view them as an extension to the traditional breeding and crossbreeding techniques that humans have been using for centuries, farmers since circa 8000 BCE, which selectively breed different plants or animals to create generations with more desirable traits, sweeter fruits, larger cattle, etc., according to Center for Food Safety and Applied Nutrition 2020, July 2nd. The Agriculture Department at Purdue University describes GMOs as living organisms that have had their genetic code changed in some way, but instead of breeding two organisms together, a short segment of DNA is inserted into a few cells into a lab. In this way, genetic modification is simply very targeted, precise, alternative to traditional breeding, according to Purdue University 2016, July 26. The FDA tells us about the process used to create BT corn. The most common GMO product in the United States is BT corn. So let's walk through how scientists did it and completed this stuff. Identify the problem. Much of the corn planted was unusable because it had been eaten away by insects. Find an organism with desirable trait, a bacteria, this is where the BT comes from, carries a gene from an insect resistance. It makes copies of a desired gene, inserts the gene for resistance into the DNA of the corn. Then grow and test the insect and see the gene editing if it's worked or not, according to Center for Food and Safety and Applied Nutrition 2020, January 24th. Well, now that we have explained how GMOs are and what they're made of and what's the process of it, now let's take a look at the controversy surrounding them. What do the facts say in evaluation of the pros and cons of the GMOs? A current perception of GMO foods is not very promising. According to a survey conducted by the Pew Research Center, roughly half of Americans believe that the foods with GM ingredients are worse than one's health than non-GMO foods. Funk, Kennedy, and Hefferson, according to them, 2020, August 16th. Many people hold the belief that ingesting GMO contains and causes cancer and contains many things that allergens and even increase the risk of cancer and stuff like that. Ryan Rahman, a writer for Healthline.com with a master's degree in dietetics and nutrition, cites that there have been no reports of allergic reactions to certain GMO foods and all GMO foods on the market, and American Cancer Society reports that there is no evidence linking GMOs to increased risk, according to Rahman, 2020. Another misconception that people think is that planting GMO crops increases pesticide usage, which have a negative effect to the environment. Those people that protect the global warming, our sweet Mother Nature. Research from the National Library of Medicine, however, found that GMO technology had reduced chemical pesticide by use of 37% and increased crop yields by 22%, according to Klumper and Quain, 2014, August 4th. It's actually controversy. Plants and foods are often modified so that they become more resistant to diseases and can endure more stressful growing conditions. This allows for greater crop yield and growth, even in harsher conditions, and this can lower the costs of the farmers, but for consumers as well, according to Rahman 2020. All GMO food items, both meant for humans and animal feed, must undergo through a very thorough testing process that takes many years. If a product is not equal or better than the nutritional value, it does not get approved by the FDA because it is not, for nutritional value. It does not get approved by the FDA. That being said, that is according to Center for Food Safety and Applied Nutrition, 2020, July 17th. Transition. I'm now transitioning. As you can see, that the GMOs are not as advertised, that they cause cancer and they lead to many diseases. Now I just filled you in with people with master's degree. We could transition to the fact that they're not, unhealthy or harmful. We could transition to that the safety of GMOs are not supported by scientific evidence. It's just rumors. It's people backshotting it. The genetic modification of the foods have many important advantages, many of which we exploit today. The impact of GMOs and why they're important. I'm gonna say one of the most famous examples of GMO foods working to make the world better is golden rice. Golden rice, at restaurants, the market. Golden rice is a strain of rice that is genetically modified to include the compound beta-carotene, which is a compound for eye health, blindness due to vitamin A deficiency. It's a big problem with developing countries, and golden rice could be the answer, according to Britannica, 2020, August 10th. While not a food, GMO technology was first used to synthesize human insulin for people suffering from diabetes, which that is like 30% of Americans, and it's just on the rise because, since soda, since the 80s, since the 70s, 80s, since McDonald's started, Big Macs, all that, it's just, people were much skinnier back then. There were several studies about that. And that was according to Center for Food Safety and Applied Nutrition, 2020, August 12. GMOs are just to make your food better, the flavor saver, as tomato was engineered to have a longer shelf life and improve firmness, according to Britannica, 2020, August 12. And as of 2016, genetically modified apples are available to the public, according to Center for Food Safety and Applied Nutrition, 2020, August 12. GMOs are more important to our current way of life. We're all eating them and wearing them as we speak, and we don't even know about it. According to the FDA, 92% of corn harvested in 2018 was genetically modified, and so was 94% of cotton planted this year, according to the Center for Food Safety and Applied Nutrition, 2020, August 16th. Now we know that GMOs, whether or not they're good for us, whether or not they're important. So in summary, I would like to say GMOs are plants or sometimes animals that have been modified with DNA from different organisms. While many people believe that GMOs negatively impact your health, there is little to no evidence to support that the safety of GMOs is highly regulated. GMOs have potential to save lives and are already important to our society's current way of living. And to recall, to conclude, I hope that you have learned, and I hope that you've let me implement that GMOs are not that harmful as people say. And I hope that you have learned some more about the genetically modified organisms and why we are not supposed to be afraid of them, and the acceptance of GMOs on a national and even a global scale that could push us to solve an even bigger problem like world hunger. As they say, knowledge is power. And I do believe that education is the answer to debunking GMOs. Thank you for your time. Do I have any questions? I wish I was in a class so I could, debate this, but thank you very much for your time, and thank you.